going? Is it working? Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. I hope you all had a good weekend. We're gonna see how productive I can be today because my neighbor is having a tree taken out, a very large tree. So I'm sure the machines are gonna be whirring for several hours. But anyway, we will see how we can, how much we can get done. So the playtest branch is basically done. So the next major focus of mine is going to be getting a demo build ready. And I think that's going to be, I think it's not going to be that difficult. I already set up like a way of stripping content from the demo. So beyond that, I just have like a couple of things to make sure are in place from like a user experience perspective, a player experience perspective for the demo. The other thing that I want to do is people are reporting a lot of bugs and stuff with the playtest, and it's hard to get the logs. So I am in the process of integrating Sentry into Godot, which I was working on last night. So hopefully I won't have to keep asking you guys when you report issues for your save files and for your logs and whatnot. I'm just going to log every error to Sentry so I can track that. Then I also want to see, I think it should be possible, but I also want to see if I can like automatically attach the save file to every error, or at least attach the save file to certain types of errors. But anyway, I'm not going to do that on this stream, but that's just something that I've got in the works as well. But yeah, I think for today, I'm just going to be doing some of this demo stuff. I want to add a dialogue. If we're going to use marketing terms, I want to use like an upsell dialogue at the end of the demo, prompting people to wishlist the game. And then we have just a bunch of like, I prioritize this to-do list, which is basically things that I want to have done for the demo build. So we'll just work through that. But anyway, before I get into it, you do still have time to try the Alchemortis playtest. I think it's going to be running for another week or so. So if you haven't tried the playtest yet, go ahead and click request access. You'll get immediate access to the playtest. Add it to your wish list while you're here too. I appreciate that. Let me know what you think in the Discord. I would appreciate that as well. You can also join on Patreon. Patreon members get early playtest access. Well, that's not really going to be applicable anymore because there aren't going to be any more playtests. So maybe I should remove that benefit so that people aren't thinking that they're going to get something out of it. But if you subscribe at the sponsor tier, though, for at least 1 month, you will get an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and your name will be put in the Alchemortis credits. So just subscribe to sponsor tier for 1 month. It's like a pre-purchase of the game, and your name will be listed in the credits as a thank you for supporting the development. You can also check out my Udemy courses, all that good stuff, yada yada. Okay, it's all in the description. There we go. Ads done. Hello, Necromantic, welcome. Good to see you. Clickertail, hello. Emerson, good to see you. V, welcome back. What do you hope to be able to do in the demo gameplay-wise? So the gameplay-wise, everything is available in the demo. All the game features. The only thing that it's being stripped from the demo is just content. So and I'm not tracking any unlock progress as well. So I made the decision that progress is not going to carry over from the demo to the main game. And the reason for that is because the only progress that would be carryable over is like the challenge progress, right? But the problem is that you'd just be able to farm a bunch of challenge progress and then go into the main game with like all this progress. So yeah, the demo won't be tracking any progress, which is like the main unlock system, and the pool of content is very restricted. And we'll see how that feels. I mean, like always, I'm open to changing that, but so I've got this system. This, and again, was a great use of Claude. Claude built these tools for me to strip content out of the demo. And basically what these do is I can run this tool in CI, this build trimmed.js. And what that does is that obviously works with the clone repository, but it will read this demo content here and this has different sections. So I've got like the cards section, and then I've got the artifacts section, and then the character section, and the pins section. That's a little bit of a special thing. But essentially what it does is it preserves every card or every artifact that is listed in here. And anything that is not listed in here, it actually replaces the card definition resource. So one of these things, card definition resource. It replaces these, like it removes the name, it removes the flavor text, it removes the art, it deletes the art like off of the disk, so that, you know, that data doesn't end up in the demo PCK version. And then it also replaces the C# script. So if I look at like arming sword here, so this would replace this arming sword script if this is not in the demo with just that. So it doesn't have any abilities, and that's what ends up in the compiled DLL. And the similar thing happens for artifacts as well. So yeah, so this is a way that I can basically just define what content is available. Now the benefit of doing this approach where I'm just replacing the script content and also just kind of like overriding the card resource is that I can still show all of the cards and their proper sizes in the unlock menu. So I could still show the player, here's how many, you know, items or cards or whatever are in the game. It's just most of them are not, they don't actually have content on the disk. Like the only thing that's noted about them is like their size, so they can sit on the unlock menu properly. But yeah, so that was very nice. Yeah, like I said, I just used Claude for that because, like, I mean, look at this freaking script, 600 lines, and all it's doing is just like replacement, asset replacement. There are some exceptions here though, like these pins. This basically says preserve the class and the resource exactly. And the reason why these things need to be pinned, for example, the ring artifact, is because there's a constant here that's actually read in a different part of the code here. Now, maybe that's not a good idea. I think that's probably actually a code smell right there, but it's not really worth addressing at the moment. So I can't just strip that out because then the game would fail to compile. So I can specify pins for content that absolutely needs to be kept because there's something about the script that is necessary for building the whole project. So anyway, so that actually took just like, I mean, you know, since Claude did it, it's a vibe coded tool, I guess. That didn't take very long, but that's good because I was worried that that was going to take a long time to figure out, and that was going to take up like half of my time. Because again, the demo is coming out very soon. So, so yeah, I've got less than 2 months basically to get a finalized demo build, and so I was worried I was going to have to spend like 2 weeks doing this alone, but looks like no. Looks like no. So anyway, so that means that I'm free now to go through this backlog and fix all this stuff. Good morning, Ninja Link. How are you doing? Always good to see you. Guilty as charged, welcome. Good to see you in the stream. Avicenna, welcome. Snub Bill, thank you for the IDR 10,000 with the message yummers. As always, thank you very much. It's very appreciated. Good morning, Stray Pointer. I don't know. I really want to set up Sentry. I want to set that up so I can see what's going on. I'll do that this afternoon, I guess. The reason I don't want to do it like on stream is because I don't know if there's going to be like an API key or something that I shouldn't share. You know what I mean? Like doing that kind of integration work on stream might be a little bit not a good idea. But anyway, so I'm going to add a dialogue after victory prompting a wish list. Yummers. All right, so run overview. Should I call it? I probably shouldn't call it an upsell dialogue. That feels too dirty. Whatever. Upsell dialogue. We're marketing now. UI, where do I want to put it? I guess I could put it in the run overview. Add child node, margin container. Yeah, that's fine. Screen dimmer. Focus. Context boundary component. What else do I need? Escapable component. Just the same setup as usual. Panel container. Let's instantiate a panel header. Yeah, we'll figure that out in a second. Panel container, theme type variation, alternate, layout, center, shrink center, custom minimum size. That seems good to me. Okay, we've got the panel header. We're gonna need another margin container in here. We're gonna do constants. This needs to be like 20 or something. Okay, VBox container. Just put a label here. Panel header. UI panel header upsell. There we go. I think that's right. Okay. We'll add a script, node, no, not node, translation string. What do I want to call this? I don't know. Translation groups. What is this going to be? Translation groups dot UI private const string UI panel header upsell. Okay. Let's build, and then we'll build the translations, and then that should not be so wide anymore. Hello, debater. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Build the translations. Demo. Maybe I should do well, I'll figure out what to say. I don't really know what to say in this dialogue, to be honest. But we'll figure it out. Add child node custom button. This one. Layout, custom minimum size. That's fine. Transform, container sizing, shrink, center. Custom button. This would be UI ups, UI continue. Do I want to do that? UI done. Oh wait, I want a wishlist button, don't I? I guess I probably want to do 2 buttons then. Custom button, duplicate. Well, that's all right, I guess. I guess that's fine. I don't really know. Margin container, we want to add extra spacing between the text and the buttons. Okay, we'll call this one wishlist button. Oops. So this upsell dialog will eventually turn from wishlist to purchase, right? So on release day, what I'll want to do is obviously release the main version of the game, but then also release a demo update, which replaces everything that says like wishlist with instead like purchase, right? So that's something that I'm going to need to do. Like the work never ends. I'm not even going to be done with work on release day. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, that's okay. Continue button. I'm a 3D modeler. I'm just watching dev streams because why not? Yeah, why not? It's a good... Sometimes you watch dev streams and you see something interesting. You're like, oh, I could use that. Or that's a good idea. And other times it's just nice to have it in the background as like a little motivational thing, right? Like co-working. I think it is to some extent easier to work when there's like quote unquote someone in the same room working as you. So yeah. I'm doing all right. Got a bunch of stuff to get caught up on since I was out of the state the last week. Yeah. Awesome. How was that board game convention minus the tornado? Can you show your game demo? I have something I can do better for you, big deers. You can play the playtest right now, so you can see it for yourself if you go to the Steam page. Otherwise, the Steam page is a good explanation of the game. I would show you right now, but it's just like I'm in the middle of doing this. But if you go to the Steam page, it's linked below. You can see what the game is about, and then you can also join the playtest from there. I've been messing with Godot for like 7 days now, and I've made 3 small games, mostly clicker and idle games. But I'm having fun, and it's nice to watch people who understand it more than me. Awesome. Yeah, Godot is fun. That was my experience when I first started using Godot too, is like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't really know what's happening here, but for some reason, it's just like incredibly fun. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know, Godot just feels more intuitive and approachable to me than a lot of engines. I mean, game engines generally are pretty complex tools, and they have pretty steep learning curves, but there's like I don't know what it is about Godot. I think it's probably like the consistency, right? Like everything in Godot is basically either like a node or a resource or something like that. And the way you construct scenes is very similar, like just no matter what you're doing, right? So I think that honestly is what it is about Godot, is like it feels very consistent. It doesn't feel like there's a bunch of like different things happening. It doesn't feel like there's a bunch of different systems you need to master. It's basically just like once you master the seed tree, you've like mastered like 90% of Godot, right? Would you still use VS Code if you were writing GDScript? Yes. Yes, I probably would. Just because I just think the editor tools in VS Code are nicer, and plus, you know, if you're the kind of person that likes to use the LLMs for brainstorming or debugging or whatever, it's nice to have that panel inside of the editor that you can use. Good morning, Light Tiramisu. It's a fantastic time. I've been going for over 10 years now. It's always fun. Lots of interesting games out there. There's never enough time to play them all. Apparently, Palworld released their card game the same day of the convention and had a booth there. They had to shut down the demo because it was clogging up all the walkways. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That sounds fun. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm hoping that if Alec Mortis does well, I will have the funds to go to various conventions. Like, I would like to go to GDC. I've never been in GDC. And I obviously would love to go to GodotCon if they continue doing it. I heard that they may not do GodotCon in the United States next year, like in Boston, but Anyway, I would like to do that. Sounds like a fun time. Some of the UX is confusing to me. Yes. I think that my opinion is like this is a common problem with like open source projects, especially like new open source project or like not highly adopted open source projects, is that you could tell that programmers made them. And so there's just like baffling UX decisions everywhere. And like, I think GIMP is probably the poster child example of this. Like GIMP makes no sense at all. Like just absolutely none. You could definitely tell that GIMP was made by programmers. And I think Blender was that way at one point too. I remember when I was in college, people were using Blender and like the UX was just weird. I mean, that was like 2016, 2015. So it was a long time ago. But I remember like a couple years later, Blender did this major like UX update. And I think that was, if I'm not mistaken at least, I think that was mostly because the popularity of Blender had attracted more people with UX expertise to contribute to the project. And so it got better. And I think the same thing is probably true of Godot. I think Godot's UX has gotten a lot better since I started using it. And I think that's just due to the popularity. Like the more popular it is, the more talent it attracts from like all the different disciplines that go into making an application. So it's like a positive feedback loop, right? Like it grows more popular, it attracts more talent. Those talented people make contributions. Because of that, it grows more popular, it attracts more people, so on and so forth, right? So yeah, the UX issues aside, I think it's on a good trajectory for sure. If I could buy Godot stock, I would put like lots of money in Godot stock, but I don't have to because it's a free and open source. Most versatile, popular engine out there. I agree, yeah. Hello, Rookie Tookie. Also excited for the demo. Excellent. Agree 100% about OSS UI, and hardcore Linux people still wonder why it hasn't overtaken Windows. Yeah. I mean, I'm a technical guy, and even those open source things are like, they're just too rough for me. You know what I mean? Like, I know my way around a computer. I can fumble my way through Linux issues, but the problem is I don't want to fumble my way through issues, right? Like, I don't want to fumble my way through UI just because it's like an open source project. Like, the thing that is the most priority for me is like, can I use this tool effectively? And if the answer is yes, then it's like bonus points if it's like free and open source, right? But I would 100% rather pay for a software with really good UX that I can be really efficient with than use something that's free and open source and has an absolutely terrible workflow. And I think most people feel that way too, right? Hello, Raised Ball, welcome. Still coding in 2026, are you crazy? I mean, you missed the beginning of the stream where I literally said that Claude vibe coded a development tool to strip content from my demo. So, you know. But I don't vibe code any of the game logic because I need to understand how the game works. But development tools, I don't care about development tools. Like they can just be generated. I don't care about those. What would you recommend for new Godot users who understand first because what would you recommend for new Godot users to understand first? Because at the moment, what I'm doing is writing the script that has so many errors, then I correct them with AI, but I feel like a cheat. Yeah, I mean, I think, so what do I recommend to understand first? I mean, I usually, my usual recommendation is like, just start with something very obvious, right? Like the reason why, for example, platformers are very good first projects is because they expose you to all different kinds of concepts, right? So like, if you imagine like creating a little 2D platformer character controller, right? What do you have to know? Well, you have to know how to set up the character and tile map collisions so that the character can actually like collide with stuff. Then you got to figure out how to apply gravity every frame and make the player collide with the floor. Then you got to detect if they're on the floor and then handle like when the space bar is pressed that they jump, right? And then you've got to like modify the velocity to apply the jump. And then, you know, you've got to do all the other input handling, and you might have different, you know, input responsiveness when you're in the air versus on the ground, right? And then you might have like traps in the level that are supposed to kill you and send you back to the beginning. So I think a project like that, like a very simple 2D platformer, gives you all kinds of things that you need to learn. And I think it's a very good like start project. And I think with regards to like the AI thing, I think you're just going to have to tell yourself not to use it. I think you're just going to have to read the docs and struggle through the problems on your own. And then, because if the AI is just fixing everything, you're not really going to internalize like why the thing you were doing is broken. I think you have to actually experience it and like dive deep into it and figure out why the thing you were doing wasn't working. You just need to find the right tool. I've been using Linux for 2 months now and it feels like Windows to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Every time I try Linux, it just never works for me for some reason. Okay. The other thing too is like whenever I play games with my friends, I'm usually playing like some kind of competitive online multiplayer game, and a lot of those games don't work on Linux. Like the anti-cheat just doesn't work. So I wouldn't even be able to use Linux as like a daily driver anyway. Like I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that I like to do. And like DaVinci Resolve, there's a whole complex setup to get like the DaVinci Resolve, the video editor, working on Linux, and it's just like, I don't know. I'd rather just download DaVinci Resolve and like install it and run it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep trying it though. I'm holding out hope that eventually working with Linux will be extremely seamless, but that day is not today. I've been playing Mistfall Hunter. Anyone playing that game? It's pretty fun. Monetization is a little bit excessive, but I don't know. I have fun shooting spells at people and taking their gear. Hello, Backward Pizza. I recently found your channel and I've been watching a lot. Great stuff. New to Godot myself, and I always find it awkward when my components need to communicate. Any good practice tips there? Yeah, I mean, I think the way to think about components is like treat them as if you're extending the node library that's available to you in Godot, right? So if you look at this scene here, these are essentially components. Every single one of these nodes can be viewed as a component, right? They are nodes that have a very narrowly defined function. And what you do is you compose your scene by just putting whatever component you need at the right spot in the scene tree, right? So I've got buttons, I've got HBox container, I've got label, right? These are all nodes that have very specific responsibilities. But the thing is, like, these components don't know about each other, right? The label doesn't know that it's a child of a VBox container. The wishlist button doesn't know that there's a continue button right next to it, right? And so what my job is as the programmer is to use the root script here to tie all of the component functionality together in a coherent way. And that's the exact same way you should think about your components, right? Your components should be very specifically and narrowly defined pieces of functionality that you can put and compose into your scene, which you hook into all that functionality and you cause that functionality to communicate with each other, or those components to communicate with each other through some kind of shared ancestor, which would usually be the root of your scene, whatever you're doing, right? So the root of the scene knows where everything is in its tree, right? Whereas each individual component may not know about any other component in the scene tree. And so usually that's the place to do it, right? You use the root node of your scene tree as the orchestrator or the coordinator between the different components. Now, sometimes you can make components reference other components directly, and this is actually a pattern that Godot uses as well. So if you look at like remote transform 2D, for example, this remote transform 2D pushes its transform, so like its world position, scale, etc., onto a node that you point to. So this actually doesn't take any effect unless you point it at another quote-unquote component. So you can definitely do that sometimes as well. So if you've got like a health component and you're often or only using the health component in conjunction with like a hitbox or a hurtbox component, then it might be acceptable to just allow the health component to accept a path to a hurtbox component, or even better, reverse it. Allow the hurtbox component to accept a path to a health component, right? And I think the important thing there is that you just want to make sure that it's safe, that it doesn't crash if there's no reference there, that it still functions, like you still get all of the hurtbox functionality if there's no health component that it's pointing to, right? So I think that's the way to think about it. Basically just treat it as if you're extending the Godot node library available to you. I don't play competitive games, so it's fine for me, yeah. Just made a channel to say thanks again for the quick bug fix. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Welcome, Razormeh. I'm gonna be adding, like I said at the beginning, I'm gonna be adding Sentry remote logging. So hopefully you guys won't have to go digging through your file system to share your save files and your logs with me anymore. And you won't even need to report issues, because if I instrument it correctly, I should just be able to see all those events coming in automatically, and then I can triage them myself. So yeah, the game is getting, even just in this playtest, it's getting to the point where like having to ask people every time, like, hey, what's your save file? What's your log? It's just getting too cumbersome for both of us, for the person reporting the issue and for me, because then I have to like try to, you know, coordinate that and like make sure that I'm putting the logs like separate from each other, so I'm like not mixing up issues. So yeah, we'll see. Depends on what your needs are. Most of the time, I just don't like the LLM output. I never used CodeGen new features, only something based on my already existing coder tests. Yeah. I like to use it for development tools because like those things I don't really need to understand. They just need to work. And if there's a bug in the development tool, like I'll just tell Claude to fix it. But for the gameplay stuff, I definitely need to understand how that's working. I don't want to be in a situation where I can't add or extend my own code, add to or extend my own code because I don't understand it. Like that would be bad, right? Okay, so what do I want to say here? If you are enjoying Alchemortis, please, or what do I want to say? What do I want to say? Wishlist on Steam. I want to do auto wrap. I don't really understand this. Using the button below. What do I want to say? I don't know how to word this. Whatever. I'll reword this later. Hundreds of items. Unlockable characters. Not tracked and will not carry over into the full game. Something like that. Hundreds of items, dozens of artifacts, and romance features. Well, whatever. It's fine. I'll reword that later. Where do I want to put this text? Ew. Wow. Okay. Does that work? Well, do I want to do like... This always feels weird to me, but... Is that even... Let's do this. String upsell text. That looks a little bit nicer. Maybe. So if you're wondering why I'm putting the text into the C# source code, it's because my source code is the source of truth for all of the English language text. And I have a translation generator which pulls all the English text out of all of the relevant systems and generates the translation file for me from that. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to have to manually edit and maintain what is essentially just a giant text file where all the translation keys are basically just listed in a huge giant list and it's hard to find anything. What I want instead is to co-locate the translation strings with the relevant classes that they belong to, and then generate the translation output from that. It makes it a lot easier because now I know, oh, if I need to change the upsell text, I just go to the upsell dialog and just edit it here, and then I regenerate the translations. So we do that. This becomes UI upsell text, like so, and I build. By the way, just a question, are you going to be making some visual aid to those who are not knowing about difficulty modifiers? Randomly spotted them myself yesterday to enable them. Yeah, I don't, I do need to do work on that character select screen because I think the difficulty modifiers are easy to miss. It may be as simple as like having the tutorial skeleton thing call out that you've unlocked the difficulty modifier. What has been your strategy for making your game making the auto combat in your game feel fun to watch? Well, I think the basic stuff like camera shake on damage, and then I have, the visual effects. So the goal is to, by release, or at least by the demo, to have visual effects that play for every type of damage or status effect that can be done. Have like mist text or whatever. I think just doing that kind of stuff so you could see all the arcing visual effects fly between your board and the enemy board. And then of course, like having good, like the health globe animations, making those interesting, making the health globes flash when damage is taken. I think there's more I can do there, but generally just injecting a bunch of effects and, well, what else was I going to say? Injecting a bunch of effects and art and whatnot into the combat helps a lot. Okay, build. So that didn't work. I need to, oops, do that. Maybe I'll call this end of demo. Okay. So we've got end of demo now. I'll probably reword this later, but we want to make this functional. That's the main thing to do. So let's grab references to those things. Wish list button. Custom button. Continue button. Private void play in. I really should make like a generic dialogue of some kind because I have to reconstruct this every time, but now it's like too late, so it's fine. Play in, play out. I'm also going to need the escapable component. I'm also going to need the screen dimmer component. All right. I guess we just call play in. So in here, we want to do wishlist button dot disabled is equal to true. Continue button. Disabled is equal to true. Oh, we also want to do private bool is playing out. If is playing out, return. Escapable component dot add. Conditional. Not is playing out. What else? Screen dimmer dot dim. We also want to store a tween. Tween, kill if valid. The playtest version will carry the progress or only a full game? No, the plan is not to have any progress carry over. And the reason is because really the only progress in the game is the challenge progress. And I guess what I don't want players to just farm all the challenge progress in the demo. I don't know, it's kind of a hard decision because I can see the argument both ways, but I think what I'd rather do is players play like 2 rounds of the demo and say, okay, this game is really fun, but since I'm not getting progress, I'm just going to stop playing now and wait for the full release, right? But maybe that won't work. I mean, I'm going to probably talk to my publisher about this too and see what they think. So it's kind of up in the air right now. Do you have any tips to avoid burnout? See, the thing is, I don't know if I've ever really, like, there's some extent which I don't know what people mean when they say burnout. Because, like, yeah, sometimes I feel like, oh man, I'm exhausted, I don't really want to work on this. But I have a feeling that that is not the same as what people mean when they say burnout. Because usually that only lasts for like a day or two. There have been times where I've been like demotivated, like in with Gunforge development, for example. I had a really hard time like making a compelling game loop, and like I reworked it several times and it never quite worked well. And so I would like drop it for 6 months or whatever. But that I found out like that just came from largely the fact that I didn't have a good game loop. Like I didn't want to work on the game because there was like nothing there really. And so what I learned from Gunforge is that like if I'm feeling those feelings of like, man, I don't want to work on this game, or like, I don't really want to do anything, it's usually because there's just a core problem with the game. And I think what happens is I feel like my efforts are somewhat wasted if I just like put lipstick on a pig, so to speak, right? It's like, oh, well, I can add more content to Gunforge, but like it's still not that fun. So like, what's the point, right? So usually when I feel like that, it's because there's something critically wrong with the game that needs to be addressed, and like doing a bunch of side quests on the game is not going to fix it. So that's the main thing I learned from Gunforged. And I haven't had that same feeling with Alchemortis because I always felt like the core of Alchemortis was good and that there was something there that just needed work to like polish up and massage and like get right. So yeah, I don't know. Is that kill if valid method an extension method? Yes, it is. And this is very simple. It's just if tween.isValid tween.kill. Because I already unlocked 2 characters. Yeah, the playtest progress definitely is not going to carry over to the demo or the full release. Playtest version is so much fun. Thank you, Marcos. I appreciate that. Hello, Artem. Welcome back to the stream. The other thing I'm worried about with the demo too is like I've stripped back a lot of content, and so yeah, I guess I'm worried that players are not going to get super into it because they're going to essentially have the same. If you place multiple runs in the demo, you're probably going to see all the content available in the demo, and there's not going to be any surprises anymore. So I'm worried that maybe players aren't going to like Alchemortis as much if I'm not throwing as much at them to begin, but I don't know. Like, it's a little bit, yeah, I just don't know how it's going to work. Because the playtest versions, you all are getting essentially the full game as it exists currently for the playtest version. And so, like, I don't know what the feedback would be like if, for example, if you imagine the playtest version having like 50% less content than it currently has, like what would the feedback be, right? And I get like people understand it's a demo, that it's going to be content restricted to some extent, but I think the problem with Alchemortis is that a lot of the intrigue is due to the build variety. And if I'm like severely limiting the build variety in the demo, is that going to be a negative thing? I don't know. Anyway. I need the margin container as well. Okay, tween control offset transform position ratio margin container. Undim. Basically copy this. Queue free that. Okay, now we need to connect to the wish list button. Wishlist button dot pressed plus equals on. No, what am I doing? Continue button dot pressed on continue pressed. Okay, on wishlist pressed on continue pressed. Wishlist clickable control, Steam service open web overlay. I think that's fine. Now we need to connect to the screen dimmer click, and then that should be it. Okay. Let's see if that works. To be fair, I actually think there's too much build variety up front, so scaling it back for the demo may actually be a good thing. Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. Oh, am I not initializing Steam? Friends class not found. Steam may not be initialized. App.id.demo. Initialize on startup.debug. Yes, turn that on. I hope this doesn't show anything incriminating here. Oops, wrong scene. Sweet. So that works. That brings up the Steam overlay right in the game. Sweet. All right, so if I press escape, that works. If I click outside, it should work as well. Cool. All right, we're all set up. Close that. So we've got that all set up. So now I need the run overview. Let's put the upsell dialog there. If game debug.is demo build. Oh, you know what? This probably wants to be. Probably going to want to put this on like layer 20 or something. Upsell dialog. Resource preloader. Dot instantiate scene or null. Upsell dialog and child upsell dialog. All right, let's see. Oh, I want to do this if I only want to do it on victory, I think. I think so. Oh, this is not configured for victory, so it's not going to work. Is victory equals true? The challenge progress won't show up in the actual demo build, so that's not going to be going. Okay, that seems to be fine. Bro's green screen is doing his arm dirty. What? It's not a green screen, it's the NVIDIA, whatever, AI-powered person cutout. No green screens here. which is nice because I don't want to use that anyway. Makes it look thinner. Oh. Have you heard about balanced ternary number system? They made a computer based on that system. Better than stupid binary. I have not heard of that, no. I have not heard of that. Cool. All right, so that's working. Let me just make sure that if I skip, yeah, if I skip, it will show continue. All right, good. Cool. I think that's basically it. I mean, I'll probably update that upsell dialog at some point, at least the text, but it is functional. It does what I intend it to do. That will only show up. Actually, let's just test and make sure. Project, customize run instances. We'll remove that demo feature tag. That should not show up in the full game, obviously. Cool. All right. Game looks cool, by the way. Thank you, Almonds. 3 possible states instead of 2. Interesting. Okay. On-run victory. All right. We'll mark that as done. Remove partial keyword from card script classes. I mean, this is not really important, but I kind of want to do it anyway, so let's do it. I am going to take a quick 3-minute break first, though, and then we will continue on. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll go a little bit longer today because I do want to make a good dent in my to-do list there. But as I said at the beginning of the stream, this to-do list is prioritized. Well, it's not, I mean, maybe it's not prioritized, but these are all the things that I want to do at least for the demo. So yeah, I went through my backlog 2 nights ago, and I basically just deleted and prioritized a bunch of things out of the backlog and put them in the to-do list. We've got 26 things to do here. And, oh, you know what I just realized? Worse, I should probably mark this as in development. Okay, is in development. I've been itching to get back into content, but I have so much work to do for getting the demo ready. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. I forgot the hard-coded true. Is there a hard-coded true somewhere? Oh, this is victory. Oh, this is test data. So this is wrapped inside of if this.is current scene. This is basically just checking if the current scene on the tree scene file path is equal to the scene file path of this node. And what that basically tells me is if I'm running it with this option here, run current scene. So if I am detecting that I'm running it with that option, then I just initialize it with a bunch of random test data. So this hard-coded stuff doesn't matter because in the full game, it won't do anything. But balanced, so not using 0, 1, 2, but -1, 0, and 1. Perfect symmetry. Interesting. All right, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes, and we will continue on. Okay, I'm back. Hello, Dad Grind Gaming. How long of a run is anticipating the average run in this game? So it depends. So it depends. I've been getting feedback that the runs typically last like 45 minutes if you kind of know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're new to the game, it probably will take over an hour to complete a run. I think my personal opinion is that I think the run length is good. I've had some people say, well, it's not long enough, I want more. I've had some people say it's a little bit too long. But I think my impression is that the overall opinion is that the run length feels about right. You have enough time to put a meaningful build together, but you also, don't get bored with it where you're just like stomping everything for too long. So I think that's good. So yeah, probably like 45 minutes to an hour. And there is obviously saving. So your run saves, so you don't need to play that entire run in one sitting. You can, play half of the run and then pick it up later. I think, am I wrong? Does Slay the Spire have like a similar run length? I remember, I never played Slay the Spire 2, but I remember Slay the Spire, the first one, took around about an hour for me usually if I were to get to the end. I mean, I very rarely ever got to the end in that game, even with no Ascension mode, because I guess I'm terrible at those games, but yeah. I think time-wise, the length is great also, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, I got a little bit of feedback that it was too short, and I got a little bit of feedback that it was too long, but for the most part, people are not saying anything about the run length, which I am assuming means that it's like right around like the good zone, right? Only a tiny number of people have said that, the run could be shorter or longer, and most people haven't said anything about the run length, which I'm going to take the silence as like people just feel like that's natural, right? It's like, because that would be something that people would comment on more frequently if it was an issue. So yeah, I think that's probably good. I found most of my runs are 50 to 70 minutes. I've finished a run about 35 minutes. Slay the Spire 2 runs for me last around the same time. Okay, good. So yeah, I'm glad I hit like that zone where people, like that's the run length that people are expecting from these kinds of games. So I'm not going to mess with that at all. Like I think I'm just going to lock that in. Get good. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but like I'm like terrible at auto battlers and like deck building games. Like I'm just I don't know what it is, but like I can't do it. Like I cannot consistently win in those games. I can consistently win in Alchemortis only because I know the ins and outs of how everything works, but if I were to play Alchemortis like fresh, like if somebody else had made Alchemortis, I'd probably be like, I don't know how to make this work. Okay, so scripts. What am I looking for? Card, here we go. So we want to find in folder. We're looking for public partial. Yeah, we're going to replace this. Just removing that partial keyword. Replace all. Okay. Just make sure it builds. Card creation tool. Oh, this has partial in it here too. Why is that there? Get rid of that. Okay. Build to build project, mission particle. Oh, this one does need partial. Oops, accidentally deleted something that I shouldn't have, but that's why I test the build. Git is good, yeah. Maybe the run length is less important than what you do. In that time, I found myself reading, planning, and cooking up combos most of the time. Yeah. Well, that's why, like, I think that is where the run length comes from, right? Like, because if you were to just like throw stuff on your board and beeline it to the end, you could probably win in like 5 to 10 minutes. But it's the reading, like if you were able to randomly throw together a build that could win, the run, like navigating to each thing and clicking through everything would probably take 5 to 10 minutes. So yeah, it's definitely like the reading and planning, which takes a long time. Like when you sit at a node and you're like thinking, do I take the artifact or do I take the health? And you sit there for 2 minutes, like that's just one move. And you've got like dozens of moves to make throughout the run, right? Okay, so that built, right? Some people might think that's boring because they want to do stuff. Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, like, I've definitely gotten some feedback on the playtest where it's like obvious that maybe auto battlers just aren't that player's thing. Because like my impression of auto battlers is that it is about reading and planning. It's not about like the moment to moment action. It's about the strategy. It's about the theory crafting, right? It's about like doing experimentation and seeing, wait, does this work? And then it does work and you go, oh my gosh, it worked, right? Okay. Make Obelisk not change combat events. So I've gotten a couple comments that Obelisk feels a little bit too powerful, and I agree. But rather than like nerfing the Obelisk powers, I think what I'm going to do is just make Obelisk not able to change combat events. It will change a combat event as a fallback if there's nothing but combat events in the vicinity. But I think the reason why I think this will be an overall nerf, a slight nerf, is because it could remove, for example, like the only combat event that sits between you and like more upgrades. So you could essentially get a string of like 7 upgrades at once if the Obelisk were to change a combat event that sits in there. So I think this will be a reasonable nerf. And the other thing that will be a nerf too is that you're going to risk changing an upgrade event that you may have wanted, right? So it becomes a little bit more of a choice at that point. Now, I do also need to be able to allow the player to show the map when they're in the Obelisk event. That is going to be a UX nightmare. I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but we will see. Obelisk configuration. Is it in here? No. Where would I go for that? Here, apply change. Is valid event type. So here, let's just do this. If is valid, if include combat is valid and equals event type. This is confusing me. Combat, let's do this. Is combat valid? If not, is combat valid not equal to event type dot combat? Is that right? Did I do that logic right? I feel like I'm confusing myself. So is combat valid is false. if nodes to change, let's do this. So we'll grab that. If nodes to change dot count is equal to 0, then we're going to want to say nodes to change is equal to nodes within depth dot where is combat valid true. Yeah, I think that's right. Nodes to change is equal to nodes to change dot order by. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm looking for all the nodes to change that are not combat nodes. And if that returns a result of 0, then we'll just include combat nodes. So we'll only make combat nodes potential change targets if we couldn't change anything else. So hopefully that helps. I could squeeze in a couple of runs every night after work if I wanted to. Feels like you get to know your run intimately while still having the energy for another whenever you win or lose. I think most of the time I'm just starting at reading cards, so once you get used to cards, I'm sure it'll go faster. So definitely a slower pace roguelike than what I'm used to, but it feels natural. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. You expect people to read? Also depends if you're using a controller or not. Using a mouse saves off like 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think... Isn't that just like the controller experience generally, or do you think that's a specific problem for Alcamortis? Like, I almost never use controllers when I'm playing games because they feel so sluggish to me compared to mouse and keyboard. But if there's like usability improvements that I can make for the controller, I absolutely want to do those. Hello, Boogie. Welcome. What if instead of showing the player the map, you added a graphical element to the obelisk event that displayed the player and the next few locations with an indicator showing which one would change? That could work. Yeah, that could work. How's the C# Godot experience nowadays? It's great. I don't have any problems with it at all. I think it's totally fine. Sorry about this. Give me 2 minutes. I need to be right back. All right, I'm back. There's a lot of moving items from board to board, as sometimes you need to use the alchemy pot to make room in the inventory. The shortcuts really don't allow for that type of thing. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's download it and give it a spin. It's been a while. Okay, let's test the obelisk. Project settings. Debug. Generate. No, not generate test map. Ignore save file. Ignore unlocks. All right, let's see if we can get an obelisk here. I'm pretty sure this logic is correct, but I'm just going to do quick smoke test here. Make sure it doesn't outright break. Oops. I have quick victories enabled. All right. Just regenerate a map until I get one. Here we go. Ooh, lost an artifact. Good thing it's not the real run. I need to work on the blood economy too. World board event. Yeah, so that's nice. So now it's like, yeah, it's going to replace an upgrade. It's going to do a replacement of an upgrade event. So it's not adding an upgrade event, and it's not removing a combat. So that's probably better. Let's go up to that one. I don't think I need to test this super thoroughly. I think it makes sense, but we'll just make sure. Obelisk power. Oh, that's a bug. I mean, maybe that's okay. Really? Map node effect. Okay. I'll just do that. If every map node effect in that list is null, we will just not do that. That should fix that. What is the ticket management system you're using? It's Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Obsidian, the note-taking app, and there's a community plugin called Kanban. Another grow board, dang. Okay, so actually I'm going to copy that seed because that will allow me to test the grow board obelisk power. Is it that seed? I think so. Copy that. Seed. Oops. Well, whatever. Oh, are you serious? I freaking misclicked. I gotta do that all again. Ugh. Don't misclick this time, thank you. I may change that. Well, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, add that obelisk power did not show up. Make sure I didn't break the other obelisk power things. Okay, obelisks. We'll award additional blood. I upgrade multiple items at once. I actually never tested this interaction, so let's see. I have that adamantine hammer that upgrades items by an additional tier with the obelisk power where I can upgrade multiple items. Cool. So let's put those all in. See if they all upgrade. They do, okay. I didn't specifically test that interaction, but that works. Good. Alrighty then. I think we can call that good. Prevent obelisks from changing combat nodes. Done. Add translation support, remove instances of percent in strings. Oh, that's going to be not a fun one. We have shop music, by the way. My friend who's doing all the music for the game implemented a specific shop track, so I'll be integrating that at some point. It's pretty fun. I have a lot of plans for the shop. I want to make the shop more interesting, but we're not going to do that right now. Consider making corruption to chance apply per ability. So I was thinking about the corrupted. People were saying that even when they were trying to get corrupted abilities, they weren't getting them. So right now, the way that the alchemy works is that each item has a certain chance of gaining one corrupted ability. But I was actually thinking, what if the corruption to chance applied per ability? Would that be too much? I mean, of course, I can play with the numbers to like reduce the numbers generally, but so that you could get like 3 corrupted abilities at once. So there's a couple of reasons why I don't like that, and there's a couple of reasons why I do like that. One of the reasons I like that is that it further incentivizes the player to get the corruption chance to 0 as much as possible, which entails using more items in alchemy or getting a reagent that does that. On the flip side, it might make the player more hesitant to do alchemy as well. I guess I have to think about that more. I think there's some alchemy tweaks that need to happen for sure. I just need to think about it. Tighten blood economy to incentivize fights as a primary source of blood. Yeah, so I think the player's getting too much blood, and I think the reason the player's getting too much blood is because I'm a lot more generous with the items that you get during a run now, and of course you can sell all of the items, so you end up getting a lot of blood. You know, one fix for that would be to make... So the items have different sell values based on their size. Larger items will sell for a little bit more than smaller items, but I kind of shrunk that too. It used to be the case that you would get 1 blood per cell that the card has, so you could sell like a skeleton dragon for 9 blood. That was too much, so I think I halved it or something. So like a skeleton dragon will sell for 4 blood now, but I'm almost wondering, like, do I just reduce the sell price of all items to like 1 or something? Maybe not. The other thing to do would be to increase the amount of blood that you get from combat, keep everything else the same, and just adjust the cost of like alchemy a little bit. I don't know, I have to think about that one too. Give bosses a random legendary ability. Let's do that one. Oh, the problem here though is that there are some legendary abilities that really only apply to the player. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that I have to think about. So I was thinking for the enemy bosses, give them a legendary ability, like same legendary abilities that the player could have. That may be too much though. Echo per empty ability slot would be quite destructive to the player, I think. Projectile tags, project swarm, bleed. You actually thought that the blood econ was pretty good? Yeah, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I don't need to do anything about that. Because there is that difficulty modifier that increases the blood cost as well. Maybe you could make it so you don't get blood when selling when picking a new item or something. Yeah, I mean, that was something that I was considering, but I don't really want to change. I think it would be confusing if, like, in some contexts items were worth blood and in some they weren't. Like that would just create some kind of like inconsistency that I don't think would be very intuitive for the player. But maybe the blood economy is fine. I don't know. Shoot, I don't know what to do about this one either. I need to make the bosses feel more impactful. I mean, it could just be, maybe I could just design a legendary ability for each of them and add that on top of their existing abilities. Yeah, I don't know. Or I might just have to design legendary abilities that are specifically for the bosses. Man, I have a lot to think about here. Add animation to monolith artifact add. Let's just do this one. That's a simple one that I can knock out right now, I believe. Okay, so I think that's basically it. Let's see. What part of the game makes you think there's too much blood available? I think the problem is I just think that it was not creating very meaningful choices. Like the blood, I guess to me it doesn't feel quite scarce enough. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Like, I don't necessarily want you to be able to, like, do everything you want to do. I think what I'm thinking about is, like, an artifact reroll should feel like an impactful thing to do. You have to balance the concern of, like, you need to have blood for alchemy, but then you want to reroll your artifacts, but then, like, you have money for a shop. But maybe that's already the case. I mean, I was just seeing some players end the game with like 60 or 70 blood, and that felt wrong to me. Like I want you to end the game with like 15 blood or 10 blood or something. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe part of it too is like maybe there's just some blood sources that I'm not aware of. Like for example, like the spiderling. The spiderling used to sell for blood, and I put that to 0. So like as you're getting a spiderling every combat, even when you sell it, you get nothing back. I think the hive mind tentacle, is the hive mind tentacle the same way? Oops, add item. It's called tentacle sprout in the code. Yeah, that sells for 0 too. Usually when I have a lot of blood at the end is because I'm just spamming comments because I don't need anything. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll hold off on that one then. I'm gonna have to do my own thorough playtesting. I'll put that in the backlog. I will say my first few runs I never even looked at how much blood I have. Yeah, see, I still, like, I just can't shake the feeling that it's just, I'm not saying it needs to be a lot more scarce, but I am saying that I think there's a little bit of scaling back that I can do with how much blood you're earning that would put the blood economy more in the spot where I want it to be. It's not a big deal. I'm not like saying, oh, the player should earn half as much blood as they currently earn in the playtest. No, I'm thinking like it needs to be scaled back like 10% or 15%. Because like the blood economy was in a really good spot like a couple of playtests ago, but then like I said, I became more generous with the amount of items that you're getting through a lot of systems, like the reagent, for example. And the problem is when I offer more items to the player, that's also more sources of blood, right? And so that kind of like inflated the amount of currency that the player was getting from where it was previously. I created a top-down world that generates code, but I'm facing a problem where a player can hack trees. I've tried everything and nothing works. I don't know what that means, but I wish you luck in fixing that. Welcome to the stream, Zynox. I never felt like I'm hurting for blood. Yeah, that's the thing that I want to avoid. I want you to feel like you have to make not necessarily like tough decisions, but you have to be careful with how you spend the blood. Anyway, let's add There we go. Monolith now plays a little in animation. Excellent. Chase recently suggested considering an apothecary that could be a good substitute for the reagents. The event always gives you 3, but then offers a selection for purchase as well. Yeah, that would be a good one. I mean, yeah, maybe the solution is just to like convert the reagent event into a 3-choice event like the rest of everything else. And like, you know, have one which is like, well, there's a few amount of reagents for free, and then there's a second one which is like you get a, you know, the typical 3-choice pattern, right? So you have to invest some money to get more out, such that like if you were to get like all 6 reagents or whatever, selling them back would probably put you like at a net gain of like 0, or even like a net loss of 1 or something like that. That might be the way to do it, right? Anyway, that one's done. Corruption chance applied per ability. All this stuff is like localization stuff. Add credit screen. Making obelisks less frequent. I might do that as well. Let's see. 1 obelisk, 2 obelisk. Yeah, there's a lot of obelisks. Wait, do I still have the same seed? I do. Well, maybe the obelisks are okay. Let's see. Valid event types obelisk. Obelisk has a weight of 8. What happens if I bump that down just a little bit? So I buffed the obelisk powers, and now I think making them slightly less common would be okay. Oh, there wasn't even a single obelisk in there. There's one. There's another one. There's one. One there. That's a lot of resurrection altars, dang. Let's see. Maybe they're too rare now. Let's see, bump it up. That's a big map. It is a big map. It is a big map. Okay, well, I knocked it down in commonness, knocked it down in rarity, or increased the rarity, whatever. I increased the rarity just a tiny bit. I do feel like they're, because I did buff them, I buffed their powers quite a bit. So I think just making them slightly less frequent is okay. It's not a big change, but is there no obelisks on this map? There's like 2 in the last region. I need to add boundaries to the camera. That might be a good thing to do as well. I still haven't done that. Like, I probably want to make it so that the camera can't go like past that. I think what I need to do is probably discern a bounding rect for the map. Or I think I actually already have that data. I don't know. But this map did not generate any obelisks in the first and second region. Now, see, this is the kind of thing where it's like, do I want to guarantee, like, that each region has an obelisk? Oh, that's a tough choice. Do you take the artifact or the obelisk? Okay, I think that feels all right, though. So we knocked it down by 1 in the loot table. So from 8 to 7. Not going to make a huge difference, but I think every region should have one, though you may not actually see it. I've already gone runs where I never saw one. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like I could enforce one per region, but because of the directed nature of the map, it's like there's still a good chance you're not going to see it anyway. So, but I'll add that as something to think about. So I do have like this place guaranteed event in here. Where is it? Place guaranteed event. So what this does is this looks at all nodes on the map and it makes sure that it places at least X amount of artifact nodes and whatnot in the map, but it doesn't like enforce any particular location of those things. I think it does enforce how far apart they need to be from each other. So like the distribution spacing here. So for example, I'm putting a minimum of 6 artifacts in the map. So your maps are always guaranteed to have 6 artifact nodes, but those guaranteed placed artifacts are always going to be 7 traversals away from each other. So a lot of times I end up getting a good distribution. And actually, maybe I could just fix that. Maybe I could fix that with obelisk. Like if I just enforce a pretty high distribution spacing, like if I say new event type dot obelisk, and I do a min count of like 5, and I do distribution spacing of something high like 8. Oh, and I need an additional validity check. Run map node. Run map dot get minimum distance to node. Run map dot notoriety regions. -1 dot stronghold node. See, now I don't know. Let's see. Two. Oops. What am I doing wrong? Oh, here. So if I enforce 5 obelisks with a distribution spacing of 8, does that make... Oops, press the wrong button. Did that do anything? Let's turn up the distribution spacing. There's one. There's another one. So that map only generated 4 obelisks. Let's see. Another 4 obelisks. Four obelisks again. Something broken here? Five obelisks that time. Nine obelisks on that one, dang. Okay, I mean, that seems reasonable to me. I'll have to play around with that, but... So enforcing that obelisks place at least, or try to place 5 of them with a minimum spacing, that basically guarantees that every region has at least one. Because I think the spacing value is high enough where that's the only way it can like solve the minimum placement is by distributing them across the regions. So yeah, there should be at least one obelisk, probably more in each region now. Yeah, there's one there. There's one there. There's one there. That one generated quite a few. How many did that one generate? 10 obelisks, dang. That one only generated 3 now. What the heck? 1. Is that number correct? 2. 3. I mean, I guess that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with the runs having a good amount of variability in terms of how many shops and whatnot there are. I mean, I could reduce this down from 12 to 10. That might help a little bit. Because I am asking for 5, but sometimes it's only placing 3, and that's because I think it can't satisfy the constraint. So if I knock the distance down, that will probably... Oh, no, 3 obelisks there as well. Seven there. 7 there. What did it look like before? Isn't the contrast a bit low between the background and other art? No, I don't think so. It might look like that on the stream just because of like YouTube compression, and also your device brightness may not be very high, but basically no one has said anything about the contrast in the real game. Like when they actually play the game on their computers or their Steam Decks or whatever. So no, I don't think it's an issue. Eight obelisks. So this is interesting. I'm getting more obelisks being placed when I don't have the guaranteed. Oh, well, that was 3 that time. So I think the guaranteed is not really doing much for me, except probably, I think that guaranteed placement is distributing them a little bit better. So I'll just keep that, because that should basically ensure that there's at least an obelisk in every region. So that will give a little bit better distribution, because if I don't have that guaranteed placement, then even if it only places 3 obelisks in the entire map, those 3 might be concentrated in like 1 or 2 regions instead of distributed well. So we'll just go with that. Will your game work on mobile too, assuming you would even want to publish? I don't know. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I'm certainly open to doing mobile, but I don't know what that's going to look like yet. Okay. Done. Is the demo almost here? Well, I am working on a demo build, yeah. I mean, this was the last playtest, so the playtest that's currently running is the last playtest. And yeah, main focus now is getting a build ready for the demo. The next version of Alchemortis that will be playable is going to be the demo, which unfortunately is actually going to have less content than this playtest. But, you know, we're approaching the end of the year. Alchemortis is going to be releasing before the end of the year, so I think we're set with the playtests. I think I've got a lot of good feedback. The game seems to be in a good state, generally speaking, minus like balance and UX issues. So I'm feeling pretty good about it, because like nothing major I don't think needs to change anymore. I think it's just a matter of like doing some like fine tuning and adding more content and stuff, and polishing up the UX and whatnot. So yeah, we're at the end of development now. How do you even test for mobile? You can just run it from Godot. It's that simple. You're always saying the same. Alchemortis is almost here. I've been saying that Alchemortis is going to release before the end of the year for like a year now. That has not changed. Is your UI click detection functionality custom, or using built-in control nodes like buttons and stuff? I am using control nodes for the mouse events, and also the focus, the Godot focus system for detecting like GUI input on a controller. I do have like a custom clickable control component, which basically just handles all the logic, so I can use this clickable control for everything. It's very consistent, but this is just a control node that can handle GUI and mouse input. So yeah. Congrats for all the work so far. Thank you. Hello, Define Dottie. All right, unfortunately, I think I am going to end the stream there, though, because I really want to get Sentry integrated so that anyone who experiences any more issues during the playtest, I can just like see those logs. So I'm going to spend the afternoon doing that, and then I'll push a playtest update which will have all that stuff. And then hopefully when you report your errors in the Discord, I'll just be able to go and like find that error in the Sentry backend. So what app or web application are you using to manage your project? This Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Thank you, Clickertail. See you in the next one. Thank you. All right. Yep, that's going to be it for the stream. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Oops, I don't know how to open a new browser window. So you can join the Alchemortis playtest right now. Click request access from the Steam page, which is linked below. Also give it a wish list if you're interested. Yeah, let me know what you think of the playtest. Played the updated demo. Has been a while since I have, and it's miles better now. Really fun and polished now. Amazing work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks again, everybody. I'll talk to you in the Discord, and if I don't stream again today, I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye for now.